So I was walking down Grafton Street in 1990, spring of 1990, and I saw a bumper sticker, a window sticker that said Irish Softball Association. I said, there's no way this is a joke or something. But you can take the boy out of the country, but you can't take the country out of the boy. And when I saw softball, baseball, it's got to be a possibility. Ran up, banged on his window. He looks at me like a carjacker or something like that. I go, softball, you play softball here? And he says, yeah. And he's about to drive away, and I'm trying to stop him. I go, no, I need to play. How do I get in contact? He said, a guy by the name of John Keys, it's in the book. And he drove away. And I immediately went home, looked up the phone book, went through the number of John Keys that were on the north side of Dublin, rang him up. He heard my accent. He said, yeah, we play. We have a small league.
The game of softball that we play here in Ireland is slow pitch co-ed softball, which is primarily a recreational sport.
Softball's a bit of fun. It's a fun game. I guess I always kind of thought of it as a recreational game. And I must say myself, when I was playing softball, I couldn't help but, take it a bit more competitively, probably, too competitively.
Some of the guys had lived in the States or had been born in the States and were living here now and just wanted something with a bit more of an edge.
And then in 1995, a number of us said softball's all right, we're having a good time, but we wanted a more competitive kind of outlet, and baseball was the natural progression. At that time, we had grown to maybe 30 guys who were playing the game at the moment. We had no league. We'd just go out and play scrimmage games. And we knew that the European B Pool Championships were going to take place in England in 1996. And we said, well, why not? We could do this. We'll organize flights. We'll take as many guys as we can with regard to the money. We'll order our uniforms and we'll just go play.
At the time, I was working in a video store. So the first thing I had to do was arrange my shifts around the tournament. So that was kind of difficult to do. The boss that I was working for didn't believe there was a baseball team in Ireland, and the usual, I'm sure everybody went through the same at that period.
The first practice we had out in Marley Park, which is kind of South Dublin area, there was maybe 15 guys. And we had baseball, and they all had the gloves and bats and all that kind of stuff, but we were just out in a parkland where they normally play soccer or Gaelic sports.
Where we actually trained is now a reservoir where they have fishing, licensed fishing. So it was a bit swampy.
We'd no equipment. We had a temporary backstop that was made up of poles and nets.
Jim Kilbride and Brian Connolly would compete with each other to come up with the better makeshift backstop. Pieces of wood stuck into the ground with chicken wire practically wrapped from one end to the other. We had bases and that kind of thing. We stole them from softball teams.
We were all using our softball gloves, big floppy things that we've been sort of throwing around for years.
Some of the guys, the pitchers, had never thrown off a mound.
The grass was too long and we had about 4 baseballs. It was just a bunch of guys hanging around and we just decide on the fly what to do. It's like, okay, let's do some ground balls, and then, okay, do this, and then play a scratch game.
The mood of the team going was really, really upbeat because we had absolutely no idea what to expect. And I suppose, looking back in hindsight, we were looking at the competition that we were up against and we thought, well, Norway, I mean, how big can baseball possibly be in Norway? Surely they're going to be the same as us. And, Lithuania, how good can they possibly be? And so, we were in for a pretty rude awakening.
The 1996 European B Pool Championships were held in Hull, England. The roster of Ireland's first national baseball team was an unlikely array of players with various levels of experience. Brothers and battery mates Sean and Noel Mitchell were native Dubliners who had spent part of their childhood in Philadelphia playing baseball in the backyard and rooting for the hometown Phillies. There was centre fielder John Dillon, an accomplished rugby player who had given it up at age 25 to try his hand at baseball. Darren O'Connor was the youngest member of the squad at the tender age of 18, while catcher Mick Manning was twice his age. Ireland made its international debut against the tournament favourite, the powerful Czech Republic, on the 8th of August 1996. The boys from Dublin were as green as they were proud, but from the moment they stepped onto the field, they knew things would not be easy.
I mean, when we saw them warming up and so on, they obviously looked, much smoother than we do, and they were pretty intimidating.
We didn't take batting practice before the first game because the Czechs had gone out first, and these guys were studs, and they were bashing the ball, like frozen ropes, left, right, over the wall. And I was talking to one of the coaches, and I said, oh man, this is nasty. This is a psychological game. If we lose, we're not going to lose our pride. And he said, I agree, let's not take BP.
Despite their doubts, the Irish got off to a surprising start, thanks to Gus Hernandez, a scrappy infielder from Dublin by the way of Guadalajara, Mexico.
Hi, my name is Gus Hernandez.
Gus O. Hernandez, you mean?
Yeah, the Kerry boy.
That fine Kerry accent.
I'm from Guadalajara, Mexico originally, and I came to Dublin in 1989 because my wife is from Dublin. I was the first at bat against the Czech Republic and the first international baseball game, for Ireland. Well, I felt great, okay, let's see what's happening. I just saw the pitch was strong pitcher, left-hander. So I get on the box and everything. The first pitching, I saw the ball coming straight to me in the middle, and I just go for it. When I hit the ball, I just start running. And then before I go to first base, I heard the noise, the shouting, everybody was great,
I guess it was very surprising that Gus got a hit to begin with. It was a huge moment for us, really.
We thought this is the greatest thing. Gus gets a hit, lead off, we're laughing.
You could see Gus's grin from the dugout. I mean, everybody was really thrilled at the time.
I feel like I was really an Irish person that day, I was proud.
We thought, this really isn't that difficult. We can all do this. We were thinking ahead. Brian's up a couple of bars. Maybe he can get Gus around. We're going to score a couple of runs in the first inning.
When that first hit came in, there was just that fraction of a second when you thought, is it possible? Can we actually do something here? Maybe we're all wrong coming here with no expectations. Maybe we should have high expectations.
The Czechs were very, very relaxed, and they had a kind of a little grin. The pitcher had a little grin in his face, and I think we should have really known what was coming.
Well, immediately he got picked off first base anyway by a big left-handed pitcher that we'd never really seen a left-handed pitcher before. So that kind of took the wind out of our sails very quickly.
It was just one of those days. The Czechs pounded Irish pitching from start to finish, winning by a score of 23-2. But it would take more than that to discourage the boys in green.
At the end of the game, I'd never seen a happier bunch of guys coming off the diamond after getting massacred 23-2, because we had done it. We had proven that not only could we play, we could put on the uniforms, we could score runs.
They could certainly score runs, but not enough to win. The Irish dropped the next 3 games to Norway, Poland and Lithuania. They had been outscored by a combined total of 77-18. They had committed 35 errors. Irish pitchers had allowed 45 walks and 35 hits. With 1 game remaining, frustration was beginning to set in. Could the Irish win a game? Could they even come close? With only 1 game remaining, it seemed like the answer was no.
We were worried about going home without a win. We were worried about going home and telling people that we'd taken all their time and effort and all our time and effort and come back with nothing. We were really getting our asses handed to us basically at that stage.
The winless Irish faced off against Yugoslavia in a crucial final game. Returning to Dublin without a victory could have a devastating impact on the future development of Irish baseball.
This was the last game of the tournament. It was do or die. A lot of jitters, a lot of bitten nails and frayed nerves and stuff. So there was a lot of tension in the area. It was nearly something tangible.
Ireland jumped out to an 8-2 lead, but the pesky Yugoslavian club chipped away, scoring 2 in the 4th and 2 more in the 5th.
It was a close game all the way. And I think after the first inning, really, momentum changes during the game a lot, but you know that you've got a shot.
Once we started getting hits against the Yugoslavs, we knew we had a chance in the game. They looked like they were on their back heels a little bit. They looked a bit like it was the end of the tournament and they wanted to go home, and I think everybody on the team smelt it at that stage. Bill Beglin was pitching really, really well.
Beglin was turning in a masterful performance, relying on a nasty breaking ball to overcome several defensive miscues. The Irish led 8-5 going into the 9th inning. The Slavs scratched out a run at the start of the inning, but Beglin shut them down, earning his 9th strikeout to end the game. Final score, Ireland 8, Yugoslavia 6.
Well, it felt like we won the tournament actually. It was the last game and the first win for Ireland in that tournament. I remember we were celebrating in the middle of the field. We were so happy.
We felt like we definitely arrived in the European scene. We felt like all that training had meant something. On another level, it was very important back home to actually go home with a win to prove that, yeah, we did something with all the training and with the funding that we'd received. And with a lot of people's time and effort, we had gone there and actually achieved something by winning a game.
It was the perfect finish for us, you know. So the feeling was, of course, you know, very excited and have a few beers as a team afterwards and all the rest. But I think in terms of the future, it was very important for us. Getting a win like that showed us that, you know, obviously we had a lot of work to do, but that we could play at that level.
So the first field we would have played on and trained on was an extremely slopey, poorly drained, lumpy field with no backstop, no pitching mound, and really poor throw-down bases.
We'd have to step them off. Some guys would have a long measuring tape, make sure that they were 90 feet, 60 feet, 6 inches to the mound, which is really just somebody using their foot to dig out a bit of mud. And then the backstop, we'd put down metal poles, we'd literally drive them into the ground and then use like netting, almost like tennis court netting, or sometimes we'd have construction netting that somebody would find maybe off a construction site and kind of rope that between the posts.
The development of fields we saw as something that was really, really important, and it was not something that we could have done alone.
Anne Murphy was a fantastic administrator. She had met Peter O'Malley in 1994 because we had a kids program actually up and running before we had adults baseball going. And Peter at that time had said, well, you know, we need to do more for baseball in Ireland. As an Irish American, tremendously proud man, incredibly giving individual as well.
We talked about where baseball was at that stage, and he asked what he could do to help, what was our biggest needs. And at that point we felt that developing a field of our own where we could have our own permanent mound particularly was of the utmost importance, so he offered to help us to pursue that.
Welcome to Corca Park, the home of the National Baseball Facility here in Ireland. And here's the stone to commemorate the opening of the fields we had in 4th of July 1998. At the time, Jean Kennedy Smith, one of the Kennedys, she was the U.S. ambassador to Ireland. She's a very good friend of the O'Malleys, and she's been a very good friend to Irish baseball as well. She threw out the first pitch here for the opening ceremonies. We actually had an open barbecue for everyone. Peter put on a barbecue for, I'd say there was 600, 700 people. That's a big barbecue.
We often get a reaction from Americans and so on. Baseball in Ireland, you know, you guys have no business playing baseball in Ireland with all the rain you get and so on. And we do get a lot of rain, and we've had to, you know, approach the design of the field and so on with that in mind. we put down a surface that has very good drainage. Also, the whole field was dug out with very good drainage. So, and it works pretty well. I mean, we could have torrential rain, and 20 minutes later, the field is fit to play on.
I've played in some pretty crappy conditions: snow, rain, hail, sleet. Anything up to the level of where you're like, holy crap, I'm getting soaked, is playable.
I think count on one hand the number of games that I've seen called off, if that, considering the Irish weather. But I think it was, I know it was last year before, we had a couple of tents lined up on the sideline, and we spent half the day in these tents trying to find some way of keeping out the rain, because it seemed to be whatever direction you moved to, the rain changed and came that way. You know, it was horrific.
Yeah, we play through some horrendous weather. You get bad summers over here, you can't keep getting rain out after rain out. You know, you're just going to have to buckle up and play through it, you know.
It's probably snowed or hailed at times, but nothing too drastic, nothing that we couldn't handle.
You know, we haven't had to call off too many games, league games and so on, due to rain. Now, we will generally play in, you know, some pretty bad stuff sometimes. We've had to call time in a game recently when I got hit in the eye with a hailstone coming across. But generally, and certainly with the training, I mean, we just adopt the attitude of, well, you know, regardless of the weather, we're going ahead. We have a lot of work to get through, and we'll do what we can.
With a home field and 4 years of playing experience under their belt, Ireland's national baseball team returned to international competition at the 2000 European Championships in Croatia. The veteran Irish lineup was bolstered by the addition of Chris Foy, a first baseman from New York who had recently moved to Dublin. But this year, Ireland's troubles would begin before they even stepped off the plane.
We switched over in London on the flight to Zagreb, and I was sitting on one of the window seats and actually saw them offloading all our equipment.
Some of the guys saw it being taken off the plane before we took off. And we were worried then, you know.
We were sitting there and the plane's starting to back out and all the guys are going, "That's our luggage sitting on the tarmac."
Did you say anything? Did you tell a flight attendant?
No, you see, it's the Irish way. It's you don't actually complain. You just go, "Geez, let me just you know, hold your breath," and you go, "What are we going to do about that?"
Everybody kept quiet. And then, did you see that? Yeah, I saw it. Yeah.
We arrived in Zagreb airport and milled around for a while waiting for our luggage, and then realised it wasn't going to come.
I think 3 bags turned up out of 30 odd, and it was just it was a mess.
I was cool, my bag was there.
We had no changes of clothes. People were going into the town and buying pairs of shorts and t-shirts and this kind of thing. We got there for the opening ceremony, and still at that point asking questions, making phone calls, trying to track down our luggage. The other teams took the field in their pristine uniforms, and we kind of strolled onto the field in flip-flops, shorts. Guys had the occasional jersey that they brought in their carry-on, Irish baseball t-shirts, and we must have looked like a motley crew. We were fortunate just to get it in time for the first game. Everybody except Paul Peake, whose bag went to Frankfurt for some reason.
They may have had their uniforms, But Ireland's troubles continued when they faced Denmark in a disastrous tournament opener. The Danes blew the game open with 6 runs in the 4th inning and never looked back. Final score, Denmark 20, Ireland 9. Up next, the Irish took on Finland. Pitcher Cormac Eklof allowed 1 earned run in 6 innings, but weak defence and a sporadic offence conspired against the Irish. Final score, Finland 13, Ireland 3. Ireland took on host and tournament favourite Croatia in Game 3.
That game was an absolute carnival. There was literally thousands of fans there. The stands were packed. They're particularly raucous fans. They were baying for our blood from the outset.
The underdog Irish exploded out of the gate, taking a 3-0 lead in the first inning behind singles from Chris Foy, Russ Manning and John McCarthy. Things were looking bright for the Dublin 9 for the first time in a long time.
I can remember telling the coach, we're out of control. We're out of control. We're going to run these guys into the ground. And then the wheels really came off. Every pitcher we threw in there, and that includes me, couldn't get outs. They hit everything. They hit everything.
Who started pitching that one?
I did. I got pulled. I think I did.
How many innings did you last?
A couple. I don't know. I think I was pulled too early because it definitely got worse.
When it rains, it pours, and the Irish were in the middle of a Croatian monsoon. Irish pitchers were pounded mercilessly as Croatia took a 22-4 lead in the 6th inning. Manager Rick Steen asked Chris Foy to take the mound in an effort to save his remaining pitchers for the following day's game. Foy, a first baseman by trade, was eager to help his new team in any way he could.
It probably was about 7 or 8 years at least, maybe even longer, since the last time I pitched before that game. There was a lot of pressure on me. Even though we were losing 14-15-1, we knew it was a pretty much a done ball game at that point. But, you know, it was my chance to get out there and impress.
Chris actually has a great arm, and he really looks like a pitcher on the mound. He's good mechanics when you see him winding up and so on, but I guess he has a bit of a release point problem because it could go anywhere.
Chris's first pitch actually went up onto the backstop, a very high backstop, and obviously they knew they were going to kill us.
Well, I think it was the first curveball I threw, landed about 40 feet up the backstop, and I'm not even joking, about 40 feet up, and it actually stuck in the backstop. So now the coach is instructing all the batters not to even swing at my pitches. So that wasn't too bad, you know, I get used to that, that's the game. But, you know, out of the corner of my eye, as I'm going through my windup, I see the 6-year-old kid, and he's climbing up the fence. And he's sitting there trying to bang out the baseball out of the backstop in the middle of the inning. And I just sat there, I just didn't know what to do. And it bounces out and back into play. You know, everybody just went nuts, the whole stadium, you know, pretty much just laughed at me. It wasn't a fun experience.
Did he actually ask to be taken out?
I think he tried to get
the
up.
The first time you've ever seen that.
He made a break. He made a break for it a couple of times, but he was wrestled to the ground and dragged back onto the hill.
Chris unfortunately wasn't able to get an out, so his official ERA is 0. So if he ever goes back into European competition, he better pray he doesn't get an out, and he'll shoot up to about 234.
It was one of the worst losses in Irish history. Final score, Croatia 28, Ireland 4. The winless Irish squad had been battered and beaten, and with only one game remaining, things weren't looking good.
I think the feeling at that stage was, you know, okay, we've come here, we worked hard to get here, we've got pasted. Tomorrow we have to play the team that's actually reached the final with Croatia, Hungary. So chances are we're going to get beaten again, so we might as well enjoy ourselves while we're here.
We thought we were done for, right? We were after losing to Croatians. We lost to whatever teams we thought we could beat, and the Hungarians were the second best team in the tournament. So we're like, you know what, we're done for, right? So we had a few drinks. we got totally wasted. We just had a few drinks, but our theory anyway is about going out. Well, do you agree with it? Going out the night before, right, a game, and getting very little sleep. Baseball is a game where, you know, you don't have to be, you have a certain amount of athleticism required, but as the main thing is about being relaxed, right? So if you've had a few drinks the night before and you turn up with little sleep, you can actually be very relaxed.
With their unique strategy in place, a relaxed Irish squad took the field against the heavily favoured Hungarian national team.
The Hungary match in Croatia was one of the biggest games we have ever played. We did not want to come home 0-4. We were down, but at the same time, we were not going to give up. We needed a victory.
Cormac Eklof got the start, and it was an honour he didn't take lightly.
It's such a huge thrill to me to put on the Irish jersey, and there's nothing in my life that's ever come close to the feeling that when you sing the national anthem before games, before the European games, and when you're standing there and you're representing Ireland, standing on the mound, pitching for Ireland, it's an incredible experience, and I'm so grateful to be a part of it.
The Irish found themselves trailing in the bottom of the 7th inning by a score of 6-5. Sean Mitchell led off the inning with a single and moved to second on Mike Kindle's sacrifice bunt. Gordon Ireland walked. Chris Foy was hit by a pitch. Paul Peake and Darren O'Connor both reached on errors before John Dillon capped the rally with a 2-run single. The Irish had managed to cobble together 5 runs with only 2 hits. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the definition of small ball. Final score, Ireland 10, Hungary 9. The Irish had barely escaped with a victory, but once again, they had won a big game in a tough situation. There were other causes for optimism. Shortstop Darren O'Connor of Dublin was voted the tournament's best shortstop, best infielder and best defensive player. Not bad for a kid who hadn't played an inning of organised baseball before the age of 18. The Irish returned home with renewed enthusiasm and a focus on the future, a future that would bring them to the shores of America.
We decided we were going to go to America in 2001. We were going to take the national team and a youth all-star team. Pretty ambitious project, 55 people. But at the end of the day, it came down to money. And we raised £35,000. And that's a serious amount of money. We got great support from the Irish tourism department here in Ireland. They said, yeah, this is a good idea. We want 55 ambassadors to go to America and spread the goodwill of our country. And I think they got pretty good value for money. It was so fantastic. And for Cormac, it was particularly great for him.
My father was born in Fall River in Massachusetts, and my mother is from Dublin, actually. And they met in Cape Cod one summer when my mother was working in a restaurant and my father was parking cars in the same restaurant. Their first date was actually Fenway Park, so it's kind of ingrained in the blood a little bit. My mother basically got homesick and got persuaded to come home, and my father looked at it as a bit of an adventure and came over to Ireland, and we've been in Dublin ever since, basically. I've been a Red Sox fan pretty much from day one.
God, do we ever hear it every day, everything about Boston. He has the Nomar Garcia Parra tattoo on his arm.
First of all, I was drunk, and second of all, I just thought it was, I don't know, a way of showing how proud I was to be going to Rhode Island as a part of the national team. I thought it made a lot of sense at the time, and now I'm stuck with this and I don't know what to do about it.
Pitching today for the Irish national team, number 22, Cormac Eklof.
I definitely had very wobbly knees for the first few minutes. It was hard to kind of even just stomach it. It was a strange feeling. It was very powerful.
It was a fantastic experience. You know, we had the whole setup, all the radar guns going, the announcing booth, everything. It was a fantastic day.
The game was a blowout, but they were anything but discouraged.
Although they're very competitive and certainly wanted to win, they were very focused on ensuring that all the players had an opportunity to play the right positions and experience the day, and the value of experiencing the day would outweigh the final outcome of the score.
You know, it'd be like me walking out onto Croke Park or onto Lansdowne Road.
You know, you stand on the mound, and it's not many people that get to do that job, and you think of all the people who've been there before you, and it's a humbling experience. You know, you really think this is for real, this is the big stuff, you know, and we're here in this hallowed turf, you know, it's fantastic.
Nobody on the team was disappointed with the result itself, because frankly it didn't matter. It was a day to celebrate being in Fenway Park.
I think it also provided a bit of a kick to the guys who maybe thought, oh, this is just a bit of fun. This was real. But they could compete not only in European Championships, but they could play in the Cathedral Baseball, Fenway Park. And we were providing them with that opportunity. I think it was an important step for the organization because we did pull it off.
My name is Ivan Galan, and I am originally from Cuba, and I came to Dublin, to Ireland, so in 1994, May 1994. I am the captain of the Giants, one of the Irish baseball league, and we are mostly Cubans or from Latin America. I decided to move to Ireland because I didn't see any future for my family in Cuba.
The Cubans tend to be naturalized citizens because they're exiles from Cuba. They're not going back.
They're very animated. Almost any event that happens in the game will spark off some sort of reaction or some sort of chatter and so on, and they do get very, very pumped up. And you know, it's great to see it adds a bit of colour to the game, but also, you know, they're clearly very competitive. I mean, they want to win, and they have a great joy for the game.
Hello, say hello to Lena Frank.
It's interesting that they have a couple of different sort of age groups. Some of the older guys would obviously have spent more time in Cuba growing up. Quite strong baseball skills, even though some of them are getting longish in the tooth at this stage. Not that I can talk, but...
What you see is a 45, 50-year-old man out there playing baseball and loving the game and missing it. And that's why they joined in, and that's great to see.
And there's kind of the young guys who've mostly grown up here, looking to the older guys for instruction and so on.
They see us playing baseball, you know, we are the parents, so, you know, now and then you look at them, it's kind of cool. Let's try it. Let's see what happens, you know what I mean? Because you see them, oh, they're so exciting playing that game. Let's see what's going on, you know? And then they end up loving the game, you know, because at the beginning they didn't, oh yeah, whatever, you know? And we have to sometimes push them. Come on, let's do it. Get a glove. Let's throw it, you know? I want to play football, you know? And now they love it.
Hi, my name is Jimmy Peter. I'm 18 years old and I play for the Irish national team. I was 9 when I came to Ireland, and my parents decided to leave because the situation that's in Cuba, like the whole communism stuff, and we just came over here.
He didn't have a chance to start playing in Cuba, so we had to teach him from the scratch here, you know, and see how far he went in 2 years and a half. How far he went, me practicing with him and explaining to him how the game is played. As we said in Cuba, he having his blood.
I used to play hurley when I first came over here when I was 10, and I was in the paper once for scoring. I think it was 4 goals in 1 game, my first game ever. And I was in the country about 2 years, and I made a great story in the paper that I was over here 2 years, and in my first game I scored so many goals and stuff. So it was pretty good. I think it's great that I'm playing for Ireland. I mean, I don't care what sport. you play, as long as if you represent the country that you live in. I think it's a great honour. It doesn't matter what sport you actually play.
To most people, baseball is strictly an American sport, but to this dedicated group of enthusiasts, baseball is breaking down barriers and building ties between people from all parts of this city. A city known for generations for religious division, intolerance, hatred, and violence. The Yankees or the Red Sox, they are not. But what these guys lack in skill and talent, they make up for in sheer enthusiasm.
I lived in the States as a child for 4 years in Columbus, Ohio, and my first taste of baseball was going to see the Columbus Clippers, a minor league team, and I immediately fell in love with the game. I just thought it was the perfect sport.
This field is in a staunchly Protestant area of Belfast. These two teams, the Panthers and the Wolves, are made up of Catholics and Protestants.
Most of these guys here are just playing it for the game. You know, the religion doesn't come into it, community doesn't come into it. It's just about sport.
Because it's apolitical, and because it's associated with the States, which has a very positive view in Northern Ireland, given all the work that was done by a variety of emissaries to help move along the peace process. Baseball is associated with America, so therefore it gets a positive write-up. It's apolitical, both sides of the divide play on it.
Baseball, because it's new to Ireland, it's a neutral sport. The traditional sports that they've played up there have indicated, depending on which sport you play, it indicates which side of the fence you're on.
If the ball's hit to you in the outfield, to throw it into second? Yeah. Okay, we're going to work on it. He's going to do a drill with you to work on that.
Hi, my name's Carol Keeney. I'm originally from Houston, Texas. We moved here to County Cork, Ireland about 7 years ago. My boys really wanted to play baseball, and there was no baseball in County Cork. So my husband and I did the only thing that any good, honest American would do, and that is we started the Baseball League in County Cork, Ireland. When these kids started playing baseball, they knew absolutely nothing about baseball.
When you come up to the plate to bat, there's going to be the batter box. And it's just going to be a box. There will be one on either side of the plate. Situate your weight evenly between your two shoulders, and when you swing, you're taking a step forward.
Although there's a lot of sport in Ireland, and we found this talking to a lot of parents, the kids don't get their game. They're on the bench, they're sitting out. For whatever reason, the kids don't get picked, so we don't have that. You know, we have the little league ethos where everybody gets to play.
Okay. Oh, you go. Ready? Big swing. Oh, try again. You're gonna run fast, right? You're gonna run fast? All right, here we go. Run, 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 run! Keep running, Neil! Okay.
I've been involved with the youth camp since the first summer I came over to Ireland. I was part of the plan was to help develop youth baseball.
Come on, Neil! Come on! Touch! Touch it! Yes, sir. Hey, I told you it was bad hits home runs.
We try to make every kid feel and look successful to everyone that's around, you know. So I think that's, just them alone achieving, hitting a home run Even if they miss the first 2 bases and just run to third and back to home, it makes them feel good, it makes us feel good, and hopefully it'll make them come back.
Nope. Stop. Yes! Come here. You're too far away. Switch this hand down below. Now move this hand up. And this hand up. There you go. Now hit the ball. Ah, I think you planned that. Try that again. Stop. You gotta turn your hands around. This hand down here. No. This hand up. There you go. Now come close. Now hit this ball hard. Okay. Ready? Go.
At that age, it's more important for them just to stay active. And baseball can be a very inactive sport. You got to keep them moving.
Yeah, you're welcome back to the Sunday Sports Show on Dublin's News Talk 106 with Jerry O'Sullivan. We're going until 6 o'clock this evening. It's around about 20 to 6 now, and at this time every Sunday evening, of course, we bring you the local results, sports roundup, and in particular the Irish Baseball League results for this weekend. We had 6 games, and the Black Sox had a good win over the Panthers by 8-6. The Spartans had a very strong win over the Blue Devils at 10-4. Hurricanes overcame the Belfast North Stars in what sounds like a very close match. Hurricanes 6, Belfast North Stars 5.
Baseball would still be a minority sport in Ireland in terms of participation, player participation and awareness about it. But awareness of baseball would be higher than other minority sports because of the fact that it's such a major American sport and a pretty big international sport in general. Because it looks so good on American TV and it's such a storied and historic sport in America that a lot of people follow it. So you get a level of interest that wouldn't be there for other minority sports. People wondering, I wonder what it's like to actually play baseball, because they see a lot of it in the papers and a lot of it on TV from what comes from the States. So that's an advantage that they do have over here, and it's growing.
Jim. Good job, Jimmy. Okay, TK.
Come on, are you ready?
I'm watching the game, Mom. It's number 7-1. 7-1. Go on, number 7-1.
We're really a tight-knit group. We'd have to be that way. We'd have to be. Because if you didn't have a number of people getting stuck in and helping out for the cause, it would all fall apart. It would have, all these aspirations that we had, it would have all fallen apart. But at the end of the day, there's something inside. There's a heart that is Irish baseball that really sets us apart. And I think it's all athletics within Ireland. I think they pride themselves on we're the little guys, but we're not going to get beat.
When I first started playing baseball, there was no way whatsoever that I would have ever envisioned it would become what it has become. It was something to do, it was, you know, a new thing to do, a new sport to try my hand at. I just thought, let's see what this Irish baseball is about and have a go at it. There's no way I would have envisioned that I would have made the friendships I've made. I could never imagine at that time that I would be pitching in the European Championships for Ireland for the best part of 10 years and making friends on that team for the best part of 10 years. I think it has grown beyond anything that any of us would have believed it would become.
In all honesty, I probably would not be here if it wasn't for baseball. I probably would have packed my bags and went home a long time ago.
People hear that I'm involved with Baseball Ireland and they play baseball in Ireland. You know, what's that all about? And I explained to them that it's about developing baseball. It's about a love of baseball. But for me, it's so much more than that. These people involved with Baseball Ireland genuinely care for each other. They care for the game, but they care for each other much more. And it's wonderful to see.
I remember seeing Terry Roseboth when we were in Croatia, beg your pardon. And we had finished a game and it was early afternoon. Everyone had showered, some guys gone off and got lunch. And I came back into the room where we were all staying, and Terry was sitting on the windowsill just looking out. I said, Terry, you okay, man? You all right? You tired, sick? No. And then he just kind of looked out the window again. I go, are you homesick? He says, no, this is the best. This is the ultimate. Like, I can't get over. He said, I just want to sit here. I just want to sit here and look across at a building with bullet holes in it and remind myself that I'm playing for Ireland in Croatia in the European Championships. It's moments like that I think we've all experienced and realized that it is more than just playing baseball. It's a big family. It's a big family. It's good. I love it. I can't say much more about that.